Hey guys, so now it's time for chapter 2 of 50 Shades of Grey, in which you get to meet Anastasia's friend Jose, and she goes to work where Christian Grey waltzes up and decides to buy a bunch of stuff for his BDSM thing. Yeah. Alright. So, it opens with her leaving the office after she's interviewed him, and so she's like completely freaking out. And you find this paragraph of just tons of questions where she's like, no man has ever affected me the way Christian Grey has, and I can't fathom why. Is it his looks? His civility? Wealth? Power? I don't understand my irrational reaction. What in heaven's name was that all about? And it's just like, cool, awesome. Anyway. So then she just goes home and gets harassed by her roommate the entire time and being like, oh, was it super awesome? And yeah. The thing that really bothers me the most about this chapter is that you begin to see that this book is kind of written like a television show. And the author E.L. James used to work in television, so I guess that makes sense. But you'll have like really random paragraphs sometimes, like on page 19, where something happens and Anna gets all mad, and then she says, I've worked at Clayton since I started at WSU. It's the largest independent hardware store in the Portland area, and over the 4 years I've been working there, I've come to know a little bit about most everything we sell. Although, ironically, I'm crap at DIY. I leave that all to my dad. And then she says something about she's glad she can make it to her shift, and it's just really awkward and really choppy, which really kind of bothers me. She also uses a lot of, like, ellipses in her narrative as well. Like, there's one particular sentence that says, I slump onto the couch thinking about the essay I have to finish and all the studying I haven't done today because I was holed up with ... him. And it's kind of comical because she uses it several times throughout the novel, and I'm sure there's more to come. You then also learn that one of Anastasia's favorite books is Tess of the D'Urbervilles, and I'm still trying to figure out why exactly it would be, because it's not exactly a happy book. Like, when she talks about her favorite books being classic British literature, you think, like, Pride and Prejudice, or something along those lines, something like Jane Eyre, or Jane Austen things, I don't know. But it's Tess of the D'Urbervilles, and when I read it in high school, like, what I really remember is just, like, it about being about this girl whose family is really poor and whatnot, and then they think they're related to, like, this really elite family, so they send her off to go stay with the elite family in order to get all this money, and it figures out they're not related to them whatsoever. And so she ends up getting raped, and then she ends up having a child because of it, and the child dies. And then she goes somewhere in the countryside to, like, start over. And then she meets this other guy named Angel Clare, and, like, she goes to confess to him what has happened in her past, because that's so awful. Not that it isn't awful, but that he won't, like, forgive her because of it, sort of thing. So, like, she writes a letter to him to confess what she's done, because otherwise he's probably going to be like, I'm not going to marry you because your innocence is gone. And he never sees the note. And so then she confesses later, and he's like, well, I'm going to Brazil, bye. And then they don't see each other for a long time, and then she goes back to the guy that ended up raping her, and then she ends up dying in the end, and it's just kind of like, I don't know if that's supposed to be foreshadowing, like how, what is that book called? The one with Heathcliff, that one? Yeah. The one in Twilight, or like Romeo and Juliet, where it foreshadows everything. And it's just kind of like, I'm not really sure how it's going to foreshadow in this book. I hope it doesn't. So, moving on. So, Friday night rolls around, and then, standing on our doorstep is my good friend Jose, clutching a bottle of champagne. And so, Jose comes in, and he's kind of chill. You get, like, through maybe 2 paragraphs, and then Anastasia states, Jose is studying engineering and is the first in his family to make it to college. And it's just like, really? Here's this Hispanic kid named Jose Rodriguez, And, you know, he's just friends, and then she has to reiterate that he's the first of his family to go to college, and it really bothers me. Like, it rubbed me the wrong way reading it. I was like, is that really necessary to put in the book? And secondly, this is written by a British woman, so I'm kind of wondering what she thinks about Hispanic Americans. I don't know. What else? So you get to meet Jose and whatnot, and then Jose and I are good friends, but I know deep down inside he'd like to be more, and it's like, oh, great, cool. I'm just gonna skip forward. And so then the next day, Anastasia is working, and then Christian Grey shows up, and she's like, oh my god, why is he here? And she's so glad I decided to wear my best jeans this morning to work. And so then he asks her to, like, take her around so he can go buy stuff. And, like, he goes to buy, what? He needs cable ties and masking tape and, like, rope and stuff. And it's really kind of obvious what he needs it for, at least with all of, like, his weird secretive smirks, and she's just totally not getting it. And it's just really awkward. And so they're just talking, and, like, everyone's stopping to stare and look. And then she suggests that something, like, they need a photo shoot for the newspaper and whatnot. So then they decide they're gonna have a photo shoot the next day. And he's like, catch you later. And yeah, so it's just really awkward. And it only continues to get even more awkward. So at this point in the book, at the end of chapter 2, about 26 pages in, you have 4 mutters, 4 cocking of the heads, 9 raising of the eyebrows, and 6 murmurs. Let the nightmares begin.